Welcome to Young People.
Say.
This is a talk show for young people who come together to talk about issues which affect them as young people. We want to say to our viewers, please note that these young people are also representing the views of other young people from all over. So we want them to be free, to be open, and really speak out two topics that we'll be discussing here without any fear. So today we are going to be talking about pressure of Christian singles. Pressure of Christian singles. It is a fact that young people, they also want to move from one stage to the other, to the next in life, isn't it? And there has been talk around many young people to say, I am single, but I don't want to be single. Yes, there are some young people who are single because they want to be single. But their pressures or their challenges, which are now emanating from either one's decision to remain single or from a challenge that I don't want to remain single, but I am single. So I want to discuss those pressures on this segment today. Is it something that is really happening? Are there any pressures that are coming out of one being single? So my first question to you as young people is there anything wrong actually in being single? Is there anything wrong in being single? And if yes, who is saying there is something wrong and why? Yes, I'll begin with you.
Yes, there's everything wrong with being single if you want to be married. And who is saying that? Sometimes it's internal. I need to be at this age to be married. Because for us women, maybe biological clock is ticking and maybe you want children. So pressure is internal and it can be external. At every gathering, be it church, be it wedding, be it funerals, you are being asked. First of, in fact, there are days when you'll be asked, when will you get married? Now they are asking you, how are the kids? Because we have already passed the marriage part. Now you should be having kids. So yeah, pressure is internal and external, and there's everything wrong with being single if you want to be married.
That's the point of view. Yes.
I like the fact that you said Christian singles. If you go to the Bible, God says it is not good for a man to be alone. So already if God is the one who created a human being and he's saying it's not good for you to be alone, so there is definitely something wrong with you being single. And then in the New Testament, it then goes on to say that some have made themselves eunuchs for the gospel. They've made themselves eunuchs, but the world around them is not aware that this one has made themselves eunuch for the gospel. So when they are asking, when are you going to get married? Or when they're asking, so how many kids do you have now? To me, they are justified because they actually believe that no one should be single. At some point, yes, you can be single when you are young, but as you get older, you need someone who would ask, so have you eaten? It's a simple thing like that. But those things, someone to tell you that I love you, and it's not agape love. It's actually the actual love for you to just feel loved. So it's not normal. There's something wrong with being single.
Being single. Okay. So there is an agreement there to say it's wrong. There's something off in one being single. Anyone else? Yes.
I would like to disagree with the ladies. Because at the end of the day, this is where we end up getting into relationships for the wrong reasons. Because someone wants to be asked, have you eaten? Your mother can do that for you. All I'm just saying is there's more important things that should be on your list than saying, do I have a boyfriend or not? Or am I on the road to be married? Because at the end of the day, you're going to focus on getting a boy or a girl when you're not even done with your education, you don't have a career, you don't have everything else in place. Even your relationship with God, you don't even say I love you to God, but you need God to say I love you to you.
Perspective of the guys. Yes, my dear.
I'd like to say that there's a period when it's okay to be single, because I think instead of taking singleness as a curse or anything, it should be a time for you to reflect on yourself, to work on yourself, and do everything to make sure that you're okay for the next person. Because most of the times we're always blaming the other person we were in a relationship with to say that they were wrong. But we don't want to take also accountability for ourselves to say there was a part where we were wrong as well. So we need to have that time to do an introspection to see where are we wrong and where we're not wrong.
So in short, you're saying, don't be pressured. Sometimes it's good to be single. It's a time for reflection, of opening your eyes deeper and further. Yes.
Yeah, in today's age, it's also validation that you are straight. Because if you're never seen with a girl, or if you're never seen with a guy, in today's age that we are living in, it's very easy for people to be turned the other way. So yes, it's good for someone to have a partner.
That's the other side of the coin. Then you attempt to be very upright if you are single.
Okay. It is not okay to be single, but for guys, there are conditions that need to be set so that you can be with someone. You can't just be with someone just because you need to be with someone.
So it leads me to the next question. What causes one to be single? Because you're saying, some are saying it's okay. What causes one to be single? What are the reasons, I'm worried. Why do we have so many singles? Are young people not seeing each other? What causes one to be single? Kathy?
The first reason probably is just sometimes it is what it is. People are so engrossed in different things and people are looking for different things like that saying, those that want you don't want you, and the ones that want you, you don't want them. So usually that's what happens. The people that give you attention, you don't tend to appreciate them, but the people that you would say are your type, they're busy looking for slave queens and whatnot.
So choices, to choosy. Okay, I'll come to you. Yes, and then you.
All right, thank you. I want to give my reason, and by doing so, I would agree with her that being single is a chance for you to self-introspect. And I think most youths who are single because they are not lovable. I think there are people who have very foul characters that people are just not attracted to, or maybe they don't present themselves in a way that makes them suitable partners.
That's it. There are some people who are not lovable. Okay?
Okay, I would say in today's world, money speaks in respect to relationships. So you see that most gents will be single, not because they do not see an attractive lady for him, but that politically we are just empty.
I didn't quite get you.
They don't have money to sustain relationships.
Oh, so it's about your pocket. You don't have money to sustain a relationship. Okay. Oh, before you? Yeah.
Before?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. I think some of the reasons why people are single, yes, some of the reasons have been mentioned, but I would like to believe that, of course, people have got different set ambitions and goals that they want to fulfill by a certain age. So that may be probable the reason, number one. The second reason may be probably that they are not really financially stable for them to be in a relationship, because there are many things attached to a relationship, because you're looking forward to the wider view of marriage. So you are not financially stable. Then the third thing, again, is in Shona they say vamuvarume avatoziva vakomana avatoziva lines ekutaura nemusikana.
Oh, you don't have the
they are
language,
short of words. They don't have the language, so they don't have that sweet tongue to I think it's another lesson I think that needs to be done, especially to be addressed to males.
But I have noted that you find young people, many young men, many young women, they're all crying that we are single, but they are sitting together, female and male, but they remain single.
Generational case of singleness. And there are people who say, when she was young, I vaila, but when we were young, no one was coming. Some of us started being single and searching. Until we stopped searching, now we are stranded. So we take this lightly and we think, and we are talking about Christian singles. You say don't be unequally yoked with an unbeliever. But the believer is not seeing you. He's not seeing you because they are general, I don't know what you call them. That don't want you to be seen. And so sometimes people say, hey, because you want to achieve. We do not want to achieve. Who said I want to achieve? I want to be married. But because of say,
so there are some young women who have moved from not being single, but now they're stranded. Huh? What is causing that, Nkosi?
I wanted to say we are immature. Most of us singles, we are single because we are immature. We are not ready to take responsibility. Our mindset is to run away. That's why you find most of the children that are being raised in our generation, they are raised by single parents. So we now have a mindset of just running away. We are not mature enough to take up a relationship as it is. We are just looking at the rosy side of a relationship, and we are not ready to take the burden that comes in with a relationship. So we are scared. I would say we are immature to actually handle a relationship. Then the other thing is, some of us, we are actually single because we lost identity. We don't know who we are. We don't know what we want. You meet a good guy, but then later on, I don't know where the influence is coming from. You don't like them anymore.
Hold there. Please don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Young People. We are still continuing with our topic, pressure of Christian singles. When we went for the short break, we're talking about why young people are still what? Single. What is causing this? And there were many hands which were up. I'll start with you, Ronald.
Okay, so there is also pressure that comes from parents or families that you must get married in a certain family or in this certain family. So when that is not working, you don't have much options for family politics and for every other reason. So some people tend to then remain single than to be forced into a family that has been preset for them.
Parents are listening. Parents are listening. Yes.
Okay, the other reason is no one is just coming. Just look at me. I'm very beautiful, very dark and beautiful. But no one is coming.
Please go there. Please go there.
You have achieved in life. You have done everything that they're talking about. You know yourself. You know that the way I was raised as an alpha female. But because of that, the way I am raised, no one can approach you. No one can contend or reckon with the force that you are.
Kathy, and then I'll come to you.
The other point that we face as Christians is that most people, when they get into serious relationship, they measure your commitment by how far you're willing to go sexually. So if you're not open to having a sexual relationship, it's a problem. And then they'll go to the girls that are willing to give them that. So, but at the same time, if you do make the mistake of sleeping with one guy, and then you decide to repent, everyone is now expecting it of you. And then they say, you've done it before. I don't know how these stories end up being in the streets, but you've done it before. You want to be Mother Maria on me? No, thank you. Or if you're not sleeping with me, it means you're sleeping with someone else. So that's the situation now where sexual activity has been normalized in relationships. And if you decide to abstain or to bring yourself out of it, people will now start treating you like a black sheep.
There was a hand this side.
Okay. The other thing is that we are now facing a situation whereby the women are more empowered than the guys. So when it comes to that now, a man is supposed to be a provider and a woman is supposed to be a receiver, not the other way around. So you can't be in a relationship with someone who's empowered when you've got nothing.
Women are becoming more and more empowered than the young men. So now they don't have the courage to go for the highly empowered.
Okay, I wanted to talk about what Kosi was talking about, the identity bit. So you remain single because you just don't want to commit, because you really don't know what you want. You don't know who you are as a person. And so you imagine yourself to be something that you're not. And when the person who's actually right for you comes, or when you meet the girl who's right for you, you think you're better than them, or you think that they don't deserve you. So at the end of the day, you stay single because you think too highly of yourself. Or too lowly even. Thank you.
Too highly or too lowly? Okay, I'll have that one hand at the back. Yes.
Okay. And also people assume that someone is in a relationship. They'll look at you and say, with the way you're so beautiful, how can you be single? And the way you're so carefree, obviously you have someone, some way, whom you're in a relationship with.
So when you self-beautify yourself, they think that you already have got a guy, but you are doing it to attract the guy. So it brings me to the next question then. What are the effects? Are there any negative effects? What does one suffer when they're single? Effects of being single? Yes.
Low self-esteem. Some of us no longer want to go to weddings because we are reminded of our condition and state. In fact, if you watch movies and people are getting married, I don't know what you call that condition, but you start crying, you are depressed. A sermon is made at a funeral, you think they are talking about your singleness. So low self-esteem, depression, everything on one person.
Okay, I wanted to say the other effect that people face is also the idea of loneliness. And also people are just afraid for you to be in their company. This one is married and this one is married. For them to invite you, they honestly think that you are not targeting their spouse. Just by contributing a comment in church, she's interested in my husband. Just by being active, you are interested in someone. So it's not just low self-esteem, but the way that we are socialized. I can't really go and approach this person. I'm single, he's single. But as a female, the way I'm socialized, I can't go to him and tell him that I'm interested. I will become the public secret. Everyone will just start saying, this is where Saka, the thing is, we as people, especially those who have finally attained it, those who have achieved it, who are now in relationships or are now married, they think those who are not married or are not in a relationship have leprosy.
Then I'll come to you.
Okay. Then the other thing is, I'll speak for guys. When you are not in a relationship and when you're unemployed, you're not working, the next thing that you think of is to get into deals that are illegal so that you can make money. After you get money, then you can get a girl. That's the only way out.
So are you seeing that the pressure is dual? You understand? This young man is saying, I don't have money, but I want you, Paida. You are saying, I want someone, but you don't qualify because you don't have money. You see what is happening. Come in.
Okay, thank you. One of the effects that I have seen, alluding to what he said in terms of women are being empowered more, I think that as women, we tend to stifle ourselves and we tend to make ourselves lesser so that we are more attractive. So then I will not achieve as much as I want to achieve because I don't want to be above the man. That means that I'm doing a disservice to myself. So I think this is also a question that I'll pose to the team here and maybe to our parents, that how much should I do as a woman that I can remain attractive to the males? I'll say more.
Now I'm in trouble. I'll start here.
So I'm looking at the situation a bit. Everyone is so scared of being single that even if we have people that are in relationships with toxic boyfriends that they can't break up with, they stay there exactly. They don't break up with these people because they're afraid of being alone in the streets. And there's people who, after relationships, they don't wait. As soon as she comes out of this one, she jumps onto the next bus because she's afraid she won't get another one. So it's a series of, I'm in this one and I'm out of it, I'm in another one. There's no time for introspection to say, okay, what happened in the last relationship? Let me take my time to get the next one.
So I want to find out from you guys. Is it okay for someone to open your eyes to say there is a single lady and this gentleman is single? If we do that to you, is it something that is acceptable among us young people? Yes. Ronald, can I come to you and then say, you are not seeing this one? She's good.
Okay, there is also a problem with that because some of the ones you think are good for the next brother, they are also in the streets, and their files. Everyone knows, but the parents don't know what's really going on the ground. I just want to go back a bit and say, because of being single, naturally every human being wants that affection. This is where people then they're open to those either married people to then date. So even some of the people who then date older men and women, it's because those people are also willing to give love to them, the gifts and the time.
So it's one of the effects that you find that young people then resort to dating older men or older women because those of their age, they can't get them. Yeah.
Okay. So from what you said, is it okay for you to maybe arrange? You know the guy, you know me. So it's okay, it's biblical. Isaac did not see Rebecca, but Rebecca comforted Isaac. So it's okay. Some of the effects are that it's better to have a child than to be single with no child. So I would rather find someone who will impregnate me. So that at least I'll have someone, a child whom I can share my affection with. And sometimes you lose friends, like what Paida had said. People don't want to associate with you because you are single. Not single because you're broken up, but you're single. You are 7 years you've never been in a relationship. So no one wants to.
So the files that Ronald was talking about, that sometimes we don't have the file, I think we better be transparent and honest with us so that we can be able to know that, you have file, it can match with your file because we'll be knowing your files, isn't it? I'll come to you, then
okay.
You?
I personally have noticed that those with files are married. Those who don't have files are single. Because even the Bible then goes on to say that the wicked are intelligent. When they decide to marry, you link them to your child thinking that they are nice. Okay, the other thing on the effects is because I want to achieve something in life. If you see me now driving a car, a nice car, if you see me opening a business, but the fact that I'm single, you are associated to having blessers when you're actually working hard. And also, you parents and adults conclude that just because you are single and you are achieving evidence that you are having carpet conferences and all that, when you are actually working hard for your life. Then about the idea of linking this one and this one. There is nothing wrong with linking this one and this one. Isn't it, from a Christian perspective, before you commit, you assess if you are compatible. Yes, I'm not having the eyes to see, but this adult is seeing for us. You guys can actually assess when you are now there to say, are we compatible or not? Because it's actually critical. At a certain stage in life, you get in a combi, they'll say, Mother Garayab. Do you think when you are now a mother, a guy is going to approach you? Because he's also thinking that by now you are married, by now you have children. So there is need for that to actually happen, to link those who are adults.
So young people are crying out to the elders to say, we are open for you to really link us. Our files are clean, yes.
Okay, I wanted to answer what Dion said. I don't think there's a limit to what you can achieve as a lady. You can go as much as you want, but there should be a balance. And at the same time, God is going to give you the right one for you. So in as much as you try to get into a relationship with a person who's lesser your class, that will not work. The right guy for you will come. And also you must go to where the right guys are. This place, you must find some other churches Unolinkwa kune vanhu vanenge vari nani vanoenderana nemi.
So he is giving also advice to other young people to say, don't concentrate on your church only. Don't concentrate in your own community. Go also further afield. Visit other churches. You will find some interesting guys. I will come to you.
Okay, I wanted to say that the other effect is you become desperate and you sell yourself short. So you settle for things that you don't want, for nonsense even. You settle for an abusive boyfriend, an abusive girlfriend. You settle for anything available because you feel like, oh my God, if our time is running out or whatever. So it's also a matter of perspective. Being single is not a curse. It's something that it's time that you should use to build yourself up. Because if you become, I think it's a matter of perspective. If you look at it as, oh my word, I'm running out of time, then you're gone. You become desperate and you settle for anything.
Interestingly, when do you say that it's late, is young people? At what age did you perceive that someone is late? They should not be single by this
The
time.
church said at 30 we are not youth anymore.
I want to hear it from you, not from the church's perspective. When do you say, I think we are late as young people? You wanted to answer? Okay.
At 30, I am late.
At
30, I am late. Because there's a reason. Yeah? People say now at 35 going to 40, your probability of giving, I'm not sure, I'm not a doctor, of giving a healthy child is highly, it's risky for you to give birth to your first child between 35 to 40. I wanted to answer, pressure is important. Pressure is what? Because we are going to have people who be giving people motivational talks which are not true. If Hannah was not pressured by Penina, Hannah would not have prayed for Samuel. So pressure is important. We need the pressure so that we need the desperation to pray to God.
Now I'm in trouble. Yes.
I wanted to say pressure has positive effects. That would actually make young people to realize where they are, because most of it we tend to relax, to think that we are okay, yet we are not okay. So pressure then sometimes reawakens some thought that is actually lying down that is supposed to be done, because the Bible actually says everything has its own time. So when time is right for us to not to be single, to be occupied,
we must be married.
We must be married.
And we must marry. It is getting hot. It is getting hot. Please don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Young People. Say, before we went for break, we're talking about pressure of Christian singles, and young people were talking about the effects of being single on their well-being, mental well-being, etc. And we are happy that we are joined by two parents. Welcome Mrs. Mbuse and Mrs. Tsikada to this very hot topic. We are talking about pressure of Christian singles. Before we went for break, before I give you, there were two young people who had burning issues. I'll give you, and you then will get to the parents.
Okay, there is a problem that I've seen with most ladies. They have double standards, and they mostly do this around 20 to 25. Then they now want to say, we're now singles, because when the bus starts to move locally, rapera, it's all gone. So the problem
they
is
lost
double
time.
standard.
They are losing time. During their ripe age, they wasted time.
Yes.
Now they are crying foul when they are over 25. That's what we are saying.
Yes.
Singles, that's what is coming from the gentleman.
Okay, maybe the question is, how do you waste time when no one is approaching? That's number one. But my contribution is, the Bible says that it is better to marry than to burn. Your question was, at which age? We are burning. It depends on the person, but people are burning. And then when you get to 30, you have burned already. I personally feel before 30, people should have gotten married by then, because they are burning. It's either you are burning and you are dying, Or you are burning and someone is helping you. That's why you are single and you're not married. These people are burning.
Parents, is there a time, Mrs. Mbuse, Mrs. Tsikada, when a young person is said to be late and should be married or should have married? Is there a time when one is perceived to be late?
Thank you, Tete. I'm glad the youths are fired up. We cannot say there is a time, like by a certain age, get married. But I guess what happens is, just like milestones when children are growing up, it's time to sit, to crawl, to walk, to talk, to do everything. So the same with the journey of life. When you are ready to get married, you get married. You'll meet the right person. But the problem comes when you're under pressure, like we are discussing, that you just feel, I'm now 27, I've got my degree, I got my PhD, I got a car, I got this, but I'm not married. Then you're now under pressure. So everything that you're going to do then is driven by pressure. So let things be. Let nature take its course. When the right time comes, you will get married. Because us, as your parents, as your mothers, we want to see our grandchildren when you're still young.
Which means that you want them to get married. So it comes to you, Mrs. Mbuse, as a parent, do you, as parents, face any pressure when your son or daughter is not married? Do you face any pressure, any outside or inside pressure? And what is that type of pressure and from who? And how do you handle it?
Thank you very much, Tete Makove. And I will say yes, there is pressure from us, even us as your parents. We will also face some pressure because, first of all, you'll see your friends' children getting married and yours is still in the house. You'll see your friends' children having children, their grandparents, and you're still just a mom. And it does something to you. So we will put pressure. But I will say this, we do put that pressure on because we know that we also have biological clocks, and that biological clock is ticking, especially for the young ladies. It is ticking. So when we ask you to, if you're married or if you're in a relationship, a serious relationship, we know that your biological clock is ticking, and we're trying to push you so that you can achieve all those things that you wanted to achieve. If you wanted a family, if you wanted to get married, you achieve those things before it's too late. Once a lady is over 35, she's actually running the risk of having complications, either herself or with the baby that she will have. So we try to put a bit of pressure, not necessarily because we feel you have to, but because we know what is ahead of you.
There you are, young people. Questions to your parents, Kathy?
All right, my first question goes to Mrs. Mbuse, who just mentioned that you see your friends becoming grandparents and does something to you. How do you think we feel when we're 30 and living in your house? So when you say it does something to you and you give me pressure, what am I supposed to do if it's just not happening? That's my first question. My second question goes to, I don't know if it's a question or it's a statement, is sometimes the pressures that youths face, as Paida had mentioned, is as a single girl, when people start making files for you, it's very difficult now for you to actually be able to get into a healthy relationship. And I hate to be this person and to stereotype, but sometimes we have a problem with our mothers who are actually the ones who are going around with this gossip. You don't even know where that story came from. You don't even know if it's true or not. But as the people that we need, as our mothers, we expect you to be there to help us, but you're spreading rumors and you're going around telling people about things that you don't even know if they're true. Even if it's true, why don't you come to me, have a chat with me, and help me to do better instead of destroying my future?
Now, I'm tongue-tied. That's the first question. I'll take the other one, that side, then I'll come to you guys. Quickly.
If you've noticed, a lot of parents, they've also contributed to their child's starter pack as they go to work. That child is driving their car from home. Maybe the parents give them a flat which they worked for. So before you put pressure, if you considered what you have also put as a starter pack for your child, before you compare them with the next door child whose father works at an NGO and they are heading the country's, the country director, and half of their wedding was sponsored by the parents. and I'm starting from ground level. I'm taking care of you, and you still want me to get married.
2 questions. Have you considered
Yes,
what you've put in and gossiping mothers, destroying the girls and the boys' future?
Okay, I will answer Catherine's question. And yes, there is pressure, Catherine, but if you cannot help it, you cannot help it. And it's something that as a loving mother, I will understand. I will encourage you to pray. We'll probably pray together about it. We pray about it. And if it happens, it happens. If it's in God's plans for you to be married, you will be married. There is no prescribed time. I was saying that it's best for you to have your children at least by the time you're 35, but it's not a prescribed time. It just gives you better chances of having a healthy and viable pregnancy than waiting for too long. Pressure for us to be grandparents will always be there, but if it's in God's plans, it will happen eventually. This thing about gossip. Oh, I'm not a gossip, so gossiping, yes, it's always bad to gossip. And like you rightfully say, if you've got something to say, it's best to say to the person concerned than to gossip about it with everyone, because you're not helping anyone by talking about something to all the people who are not involved and not addressing the issue to the person that it's supposed to be.
So you're apologizing on behalf of the mothers.
I do
That we need
apologize.
to make sure that we are putting back our mouths a bit so that we don't destroy our children's future. Yes. What have you put?
Okay, I just want to put a little bit on gossip. Sometimes we gossip as mothers because I wanted Amanda to be my daughter-in-law, but instead the other mother's son is after her. So because of that jealous, I may go around saying bad things about her. So that's how gossip comes about. And we really need God to stop it, but it happens, okay? Now coming to Ronald, you're very right in what you said. I'll give you an example. Like some of us, when we grew up, we didn't have much, such that when we met our husbands, we were on the same level with nothing, and we grew together in love. So it's also not wrong if I can provide for my daughter, if I can buy her a house, so that you guys can start comfortably. There's nothing wrong with that. So I think everything comes with boundaries. If you understand that my intentions are good, you will stay with my daughter well. But if you're going to take it at the point that I've spoiled my girl, and you may actually traumatize her, then you'll have a problem. But it depends, because there's nothing wrong when God blesses us as parents, so that we give you a better starting point than what we had when we started from nothing.
Your question?
Okay, thank you. First of all, I would like to make a contribution to what Mama Tsekada said when she said, eventually you'll meet the right person. I agree with that, but also I disagree, because the question is, are you even the right person for that person? Maybe God is protecting that person from you, that's why you're still single. And then my question would be, in terms of when we're looking at our mothers and possibly our parents, we do not see happy marriages. So what is that we should be looking forward to besides procreating?
Dangerous question. Dangerous question. Your hand was up. Okay, I'll give the answer.
All right, it's not really a question. I feel like I need to give this contribution. I feel like we're not ready for this conversation. Really, what these guys are saying, what these guys are saying. I believe not everyone's going to be married in the future. Let's be open to that fact. Say, not everyone's going to get married. Let's accept that. Because I can tell the mothers want grandchildren, these guys want husbands, these guys want wives, but not everyone is going to get married. Let's accept that.
Okay, so it is not a question, but it's a comment. Not everyone is going to get married, but everyone wants to be married. And let's see how they can be married if they want to be married. You can answer the question, that pertinent question. No happy marriages.
Okay, thank you for that question. And I would agree with you to some extent. What happens is we are talking about being single and being a Christian, the effects and everything that you guys were discussing about. Sometimes when you get married to the wrong person because of desperation, because of pressure, you end up in an unhappy marriage. But if you get married to your friend, someone who understands you, someone you can talk to, someone you can confide in, you will have a happy marriage. Not saying that a perfect marriage, but there is ground for you to gain understanding and talk about issues and resolve issues well, so that your relationship comes back to be the loving and happy relationship that you'd want.
I have seen the hands. I have seen the hands. We want again that question to throw it to the pastors when they come. There are no happy marriages that young people are seeing. So what is in it for them as young people? Please don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Young People. Still having a discussion on our topic, pressure of single, of Christian singles. Want to welcome Pastor Manyepa and Dr. Elisa Majanga. Welcome to Young People Say. So, Dr. Majanga, a question for you. Are there any challenges that a young man or a young woman can face medically, from a medical point of view, as a result of getting married late?
All right. First of all, let me state I'm not a fertility specialist, and that's the best person to get into details about that. But generally speaking, in the medical field, men don't usually have a problem per se with age and fertility. Okay. Women, however, as I'm sure you've heard, once you get beyond the age of 30, your ability to have a complication-free pregnancy starts to go down. It trends downward. So it's more likely after 30 for you to have complications, all right? And more so after 35. Things like Down syndrome becomes more of a possibility. With that said, there are many women who have given birth, had healthy pregnancies beyond the age of 35. But we do classify them as, once you get to 35, a high risk, having a high risk pregnancy, which means there are more risks associated with pregnancy than for someone below 30. So there are risks. But in this context, you know, we shouldn't put pressure to get married just to avoid, you know, being exposed to those risks. If we believe that there's God and He's the one who's planning our lives, I think we should trust that first, and then everything else will fall into place. You can then seek medical help to assist you through that process. There are many women who have had, like I said before, healthy pregnancies over that age, along with the support from their medical personnel.
I'll come back to you a bit later, Doc. Pastor Manyepa, these are real issues, Pastor. Young women are grappling, and young men are grappling with this challenge of being single. I think you've heard from what they were saying. Let's say a young person approaches you as a pastor for help. They really want to get married. They want to marry. What help would you give them as a pastor?
Yeah. You know, I'm actually very, I'm failing a word here, but I'm very critical about this topic. I'm one person who believes that not everyone is called for marriage. Yeah. And I took, you know, Paul gave this as a very, I heard them quoting, but they were taking what they wanted from a verse. But let us read the verse in its context. Paul is saying in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 6 to 9, but I speak, that's Paul, this by permission and not of commandment. So meaning this is a recommendation, a strong recommendation, right? What is the recommendation?
For I would that all men were even as myself, right? But every man hath his proper gift of God, one after this manner of being celibate, and of another of getting married. I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I am celibate. It is good. But if they cannot contain, let them marry. For it is better to marry than to burn. Now, Paul is giving this as well another option. But his recommendation, which he is saying is good, is this one. Why is it that pastors, church elders, Dorcas ministry, we are not recommending, we're recommending our youth on this? Why is everyone quiet? I believe, Tetemako, it's about the culture. We are acculturated, to think that everyone who doesn't marry actually gone. You see, it has been like that. There is kind of a pressure. We don't know where this pressure is coming from. We give words into our parents' mouth to say, what would my parents say? What will people say about me? It's about the pressure that is coming from somewhere. Yet Paul knew that marriage is going to hinder so many of you guys from entering heaven. Many, you can concur with what I'm saying. Many who are married right now are not making it to heaven because of their spouses. Marriage is a holy thing.
So Pastor, you're saying these young people shouldn't aspire to marry because we are just where you are seated. There were two mothers who were sitting there, and they were telling these young people that we want grandchildren. It's not pressure which is coming from elsewhere, but right there from their homes. Let me give them an opportunity to ask you questions. Who am I starting with? Okay, Ronald?
Well, I think maybe we would need someone of your age who is a pastor without a ring, because you are giving us a perspective, but you are married. The doctor is married, the mothers are married. So, and none of us here are married. So it's very hard to believe what you say. Yes, it's the Bible, but honestly, you are married. You are benefiting from marriage. So it's very hard to believe. Sorry to say what you say.
That's the first one, Pastor. They want you to be realistic and not be biblical. They say you are married. Yes.
Okay, he's saying that not being married is a gift. How do you tell that this gift is my gift? When you yourself feel good, Mina, the gift for me is marriage. You personally feel yours is marriage.
Pastor, take those two.
Okay. First of all, it's not about my status that gives me the platform to preach. Paul is the one who spoke these words. He was not married. And he's the one who gave a recommendation. And I am looking from this perspective. That's why I'm so hard on this. Because I'm looking at my married fellows. I'm looking at myself. You see. And how much marriage is taking a toll on my spirituality. How much I'm not prepared for it, but I'm in it. So does that stop me from giving a recommendation as well to you guys? Number two, on the second question, you see, it needs you to sit down a bit, take the pressure off, look at yourself, do a self-introspection. This thing, we may have been suppressing it for a long time, yet it's in you. There is one thought that maybe this is it. Then there's another one which is maybe too suppressed, which is saying, no, but I need to be there. You see. So you need to be humble and you need to.
And Pastor, is there a platform in the church where young people can be able to meet, to see each other? What is provided for by the church for such young people who are aspiring, who are burning, like what she's saying?
Powerful. Now, I now turn from this hard stance now because I wanted it to be clear. No one was talking about the celibate aspect. That's why I came hard on this. Now I want to come on this aspect whereby you are aspiring to get married. Indeed, I believe that marriage will find you. Marriage should find you. When you meet the right person, you don't need introduction. You find that person. All right? And the problem comes when we go about searching, like we go hunting with salt in the pocket. There is a challenge of great disappointment. Yeah, let marriage find you while you are doing something.
Okay. Okay. I have a question that I come to you.
Thank you so much for.
Yeah.
It's okay. Thank you so much. I wanted to comment on the issue of the pressure that the pastor was alluding to. I think that pressure, even from the church perspective, from parents, it leads to hasty, immature marriages. No wonder why you see that there is a rampant increase in divorce rates. Why? It's because of the pressure that people and youth succumbed to. So I think, yeah, we should be in a position of succumbing. And also, I wanted to comment on the issue of that you talked about of arranged marriages. To say that, don't you have to put terms and conditions or boundaries to those things? Because sometimes, when a partner is arranged for you, what's expected from someone who has arranged for you is you are supposed to get married to that person. Okay. But there are things, terms and conditions that should be put to say that, is the partner compatible? Am I attracted to them?
It was one of the ideas which came up to say, is something that can happen if really someone is willing to be supported. Your question?
Okay. Is it always that marriage will come to me, or I should be like Ruth and go and cover myself? And are there other methods where I can be 40 and give birth to a healthy child? I can be over 40 in Zimbabwe.
Oh, that's for the doctor? Mm-hmm. She's saying, you can repeat your question?
Okay. Are there methods where I can have a healthy child when I'm over 40? Mm-hmm. Methods in Zimbabwe?
Yeah. You said in Zimbabwe, yes. Mm-hmm. In Zimbabwe, people are having IVF done. So for those of you who don't know, you can actually retrieve your eggs, have them stored, then, do the process of fertilization later on when you're ready. So that's available.
So there is hope for the over 40s.
But I don't know what our church's stance on that is.
Okay. We'll come to the pastor as he's wrapping up that one. Which end now, Kathy?
All right, my question goes to the pastor as well. In harmony with what Amanda was asking, what does the church say when it comes to things such as artificial insemination and surrogacy?
Yeah.
As a personally, I don't think it's very wise, because I would like to share that experience with a partner. Okay. But to those people who actually want the proof, what would you say is the proof whereby can you do that?
I'll take that one again quickly.
I wanted to, from what I have gathered, then it gives me a second thought on the link-ups. Like you telling me that I have to, can you not see that girl right there? I'm now doubting your intentions as parents, since you have a pressure to let go.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So maybe, yes. So maybe you are just pointing her to me so that, you just let go.
So pastor will wrap that in terms of, can we link young people? And this one, what is the church's position on surrogacy, artificial insemination? And I think the doctor had also referred it back to you. Quickly, pastor, in a few minutes.
Okay. I thought there was a hand.
Oh, okay, quickly.
I wanted to ask, the pastor was mentioning that the right person, if we read the story of Hosea, he was told to go and marry a harlot. Not only that case, there is David who saw someone bad thing, someone's wife. Even in the New Testament, it continues to say Uriah's wife, but then they got married. there's a case also of when the husband of Abigail passed away and she was married to David. So when you are saying the right partner to who?
Okay, Pastor, I think you had the questions. Over to you. And you are also wrapping up in a few minutes.
Thank you so much.
Pastor.
Hey, yeah, I've got 3 powerful questions here. Powerful questions. Right, the first one is about artificial insemination and surrogacy. Well, we know that Sarai tried surrogacy and God condemned it right away. That Abraham should sleep with Hagar and Ishmael to be born for Sarah. And God, refused it, rejected it there and there. We have also some cases of artificial insemination the gene thing that was happening in the antediluvial world. You remember, it was just given as a summary, but the doctors can science can expurgate a bit. What does it mean? That the sons of God came into the sons of men and giants were born. People were playing around with genes there, and things were happening that God did not sanction. Procreation was being abused. So God destroyed the first world. And let me say, artificial insemination is not different from kuuchika. Zvakangofanana nekuuchika. Ng'anga dzedu dzaingouchika. Ukaenda kung'anga unonouchikwa ukaita vana. Jacob did that. He mixed some herbs and mhuka dzikaberekana dzine mavara. And these things he did it, but it was not in God's plan. So you see, and maybe
I think, Pastor, you've touched on that one. Let's go to the next one.
On the second one, maybe let me answer it the reverse side. You see, why I said in the first place, not everyone is cut for marriage. David is a good example. He grew up so abused that he could not trust anybody. His heart was broken on a wedding day by Merabi. He also caught Michal with another man, faulty. Merabi went with this Adriel, and his heart was broken. Even if God killed Nabal to get Abigail and gave Abigail to David, David could not see the value of Abigail because he was too abused, too confused to see the good things. Many of us here grow up in bad homes. You cannot handle marriage with your attitude, with your character, with your mechanism. You can't. You need a holistic change. And sometimes, God makes sure that you don't enter marriage because you have got a character that is not fit to represent him well in a marriage. Remember, it's the devil's mandate to make sure that he portrays the holy things of God as evil, as bad for people. So marriage should appear not so good for people. That's the devil's mandate. So let's be very careful on that one as we approach marriage. That's why Paul gave us this recommendation that there are those who are not cut for marriage. Then there is another issue that is making rounds of mweya yemadzinza. There is nothing like that. Hakuna chinonzi mweya yemadzinza. I don't know kuti makaenda kunodzistada satani zvokudaro here zvokuti makunzwisisa kuti madhimoni aya ane mazita akadii. Don't hate your ancestors. Don't hate your tates and your mothers in giving them names. Mweya yetsvina chete. Fight those demons. Kana uri kuroyewa, namatira huroyi huri kuuya kwauri. Actually, pane verse inoti hakuna huroyi kwaIsrael. Uri kuroyewa wakamira papi?
I would ask Pastor to go back to our English. Pastor, this is a very passionate topic. He was talking about the spirits, where we are talking about ancestors actually hindering young people to be married. And Pastor was saying, pray and not talk about generational cases, etc. is something that can be broken by prayer. You need to believe in yourself. You need to love yourself. You need to like yourself. This topic, we can cannot exhaust it in one session. We are promising you that we are going to do a second session on this one. Here on young people, say we are talking about pressures of being single, and I think we have understood one another that yes, there is a willingness in most of our young people to get married, and yes, the pastor was talking about platforms are there for young people to be able to see each other, and there are various ways that we've talked about. Some of them are linkages. We can be able to recommend some young people to be able to be linked to that other young person. But all the same, we are saying if we are destined to be married, pastor said, wait for your time. Your time will come with the right person. Here on young people, we'll meet next time. Yours truly, Tete Makore.
Besemo banonzwana uranyi sokora kana kamurese pasi kuti vanu vese ngarinzveri uyo unoda tumasoko pagomonemikana baba wadikanwa arikudaitsa uyo unoda uya nasi uya pinda pamusiwo wazarurirwa Jesu ndiye nzira yeiniega uyo unoda tumasoko pagomonemikana baba wadikanwa arikudaitsa uyo unoda uyo unoda upenyu darini uyo unoda tumasoko pagomonemikana baba wadikanwa arikudaitsa uyo unoda soko pagomonemikana baba wadikanwa arikudaitsa uyo unoda